This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Our next guest is the CEO, founder, and promoter for Epic Fighting here in San Diego. Please welcome back to the show Jason Stewart and his special guest, a fighter at Epic 31 on June 24th. From Excel Jiu-Jitsu, Djavan Coleman.
There they are. There he is.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. MMA in San Diego, huh? Guy's been bringing MMA to San Diego. How many years now for Epic Fighting?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Bringing amateur MMA to San Diego.
Yeah.
Jason, so Epic 31, obviously right around the corner. June 24th.
Yes, June 24th. Starts at 8 o'clock, 4 Point Sheraton Resort, free parking. Tickets are at epicfighting.com. All ages event. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
A lot of fights scheduled.
A lot of fight schedule. I saw the promo for it. You guys are really getting the hype built up. It's
Yeah. You'll see the hype escalate. We're about a month before. You'll see it really start to pick up all the way to that. Till the day of.
Yeah. Well, you want to bring a fighter in today. Javon's here.
Yes, Javon is here, and I was really excited to bring him. Just shortly after you asked me to come on the show, the owner of Genesis Recovery, who's a sponsor of ours, they're a rehab center. He said, "Hey, one of my guys is fighting for you." I was like, "What do you mean, one of your guys?" And he's like, "Well, one of the guys who's in my program." And I was like, I had to call him and get the gist on it. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a guy who's in my program who's going through the rehab, and he's going to, be completely done with it before the fight. But he's training for the fight, and he's already got an opponent." And I looked him up on the card, and I was like, both of these guys are undefeated. This looks like a really good fight. And how crazy of it, whenever I'm down, whenever I'm having some type of a failure, I watch that Rocky clip, and the clip goes, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And so when he told me the story of Javon, it was just like, completely brought me back to that video. Like, here's a guy who is, hit bottom, had to go into a rehab center, but he's still moving forward, taking care of what he needs to take care of, and he's training for this huge fight, so I'm excited to see it. And I had to look up some of your clips and stuff. He's like a tough guy, loves jiu-jitsu. So it's an awesome story.
That's cool, Javon. So, obviously that's a big deal. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
That's, you're a big man, obviously, for doing that, for saying, hey, I need to go and check myself into Genesis Recovery and get my mind right, get my actions right. And you're a big jiu-jitsu guy, you're undefeated. So this has got to be exciting. You really got something to look forward to. You really got something to point your energies towards. What's going through your mind, as you're training for this fight?
It's just exciting. It's a second chance. It's a chance to show people that, once you've lost, once you've been beaten down, you can still come back up and come stronger, come back harder. It's like Jason just said, like all the Rocky movies, you get beat, you get hit, you come back and you hit back harder.
Yeah.
I'm excited to prove that,
That's cool, man. So obviously, Epic 31, there's going to be a lot of fights. You guys usually have like at least 10, 12 fights on these cards, sometimes even more.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. There's stacked cards for sure. We want to make sure our fans get a good bang for their buck and get, a lot of, a general admission ticket is $30. So if you could see 10 to 15 fights for $30, you're not going to go away. If you even stay for a quarter of the show, you got your money's worth. So that's awesome. And I think it's interesting how, he hasn't been beat in the cage, so far. And you want to keep that going as long as you can. But the defeat wasn't in the cage. The defeat was in life. So when you talk about, I got beat, but I have a second chance to get a victory. It's like, we're not even talking about the cage. We're talking about life itself.
Right.
So I think that's a good metaphor for everybody's been through it. Everybody's had some type of failure, whether they've been in drugs or alcohol or failed in business or lost a loved one or failed at a relationship. Everybody can kind of relate to that,
You do get multiple chances in life.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
There's always another chance right around the corner.
It's a matter of if you quit or not.
That's right.
For
That's
sure.
Right. It's really cool. Well, I'd love to talk to you guys about just the world of jiu-jitsu. So I was at UFC 196.
Okay.
Nice.
Which was a very, very big night for jiu-jitsu and MMA, where Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor with jiu-jitsu. And then Misha Tate beat Holly Holm with jiu-jitsu. Both the big underdogs. I bet on both of them. If I'd parlayed it, I would have made like $3,000, man. I didn't think about it. I'm not really a bettor, so I don't think about those things. But someone told me later, like, oh yeah, if you'd have bet $100 on the parlay, you'd have made $3,000.
Wow.
So that was a big deal. Jiu-Jitsu's become a really big deal now. People get it. And it's funny because, the days of Royce Gracie beating all those guys in UFC 1, that was a long time ago. What is it, 30 years ago now or something like that? 25, 30 years ago now?
Yeah.
So it was proven a long time ago. But I think it's taken a while for people to get interested in understanding it,
Yeah, I mean, it's continued to
arts.
grow since then. They definitely put it on the map, and it had a huge growth spurt back then. I think the sport keeps evolving. So at the beginning, it was like, at the very beginning, before there was a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, it was just the wrestlers getting on top of people, banging everyone up. And then jiu-jitsu just started dethroning everyone, whether you're a wrestler or striker. But then it evolved to where people were learning enough jiu-jitsu and wrestling to stay out of trouble. And then the people who didn't have an answer for the striking were the ones who were in trouble. So the strikers, you saw a transition where the strikers were dominating for a while. And now you're seeing back into like the jiu-jitsu level is evolving more for MMA, and just people are taking it to that next level to where even if you're pretty good at jiu-jitsu, now you have to be really good at jiu-jitsu to not get submitted by these really high-level jiu-jitsu guys that are going into MMA.
That's the thing, because a lot of these people, if you watch these fights, especially when you see two good jiu-jitsu guys, I mean, I love watching an MMA fight with two jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
You can watch a jiu-jitsu fight, and especially like the gi jiu-jitsu fights, and sometimes it's kind of hard to see what's going on. Gis are getting tugged and stuff, and you really can't see it. And so I can understand why people might be like, well, I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, I've seen gi matches where the person tapped, and I have no idea why they're tapping.
That happens, right? So, but in MMA, when you have two guys who are good at jiu-jitsu, it's amazing how quick. If you aren't good, they'll get you fast.
Yeah.
Like Ronda's proved that in the women's side. A bunch of people have proved that on the men's side. They're going to get you really quick.
Yeah.
You don't have a second chance.
There's no amount of strength, or you could be the best boxer in the world. You gotta have drilled jiu-jitsu over and over and over to not get submitted. It's been proven over and over, yeah.
And what's funny to me is a lot of these guys, the old school guys, they used to say like, I'll never tap. Champions never tap. You don't see that anymore.
No.
That's changed.
No.
People realize that.
I have some people would say it's stupid, and some people would have respect for it, but there are certain people that will go out. They'll just go out. You know what I mean?
On a choke?
They won't tap. Like, they're getting choked out, and you look at that and it's like, was that really because they were brave, or because they just were out before they had the chance to tap? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like Holly, when Misha choked her out, she would sleep.
Yeah.
And I had respect for that.
Yeah, and I think she knew it was going to happen, but she just refused to tap. And I think girls are more likely to do that than guys. Girls are tougher and meaner and more stubborn overall. But yeah, both of those girls were amazing in that fight.
So, Javon, tell us about Excel Jiu-Jitsu, where you're training, who your trainer partners are, and how you're getting ready for this fight.
Excel Jiu-Jitsu is awesome. I've trained at a couple other places before that, and it's a family to me. I love those guys to death. Like, they took care of me even when I was doing some of my stuff that landed me in Genesis. They watched over me. They came to every one of my fights. My sparring partner Joseph Williams is trying to be on the card as well, and he's like a brother to me. So
that's a tough guy too.
I'm really happy to be with them, and I love those guys. They're great.
And you're from Virginia, right?
I was in Virginia for 8 years. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and I was stationed there before I came to Oceanside last year.
Okay, that's awesome. So different MMA scene.
Very different, very different.
San Diego's just a mecca, isn't it crazy?
It really is. You have all the best talent down here, and it's very cool to one day be training with one superstar to the next.
It's just nutty, man. I mean, when you see them opening these, I mean, you've got the Nogueira stuff is here, Gracie stuff is here. All sorts of jiu-jitsu here, from world-class jiu-jitsu opportunities are here.
Oh, yeah.
I think part of what's causing the boom in like EBI, the Eddie Bravo International Jiu-Jitsu Tournament, which the most recent one got like a record amount of views. I think part of that is because there are so many places that kids are growing up with it. I mean, your daughter, for example.
Yeah.
When did she start training jiu-jitsu?
I started training her myself at home. We would just, for fun, do the armbar stuff at 3 and 4, and she had all the techniques down. And then I put her into Alliance MMA, and she did the first jiu-jitsu class. She was like 8 years old. And they were like, okay, well, we'll put her over here so they'll take it easy on her. And she just tapped like 3 boys in a row, and the teacher, oh my God, are you okay? Hurt the boy's arm. And she had already had the moves down. So she started competing within her first year. So like at 8 years old, she was fighting full contact with boys, not just jiu-jitsu, but pancration and stuff like that.
Nice.
So,
And how old is she now?
She's going to be 17 soon.
17?
Yeah, she's wrestling
Seriously?
in high school. She was the first female from Eastlake High School to win a match at the state competition, and she won 2. So no one's ever won 1 match, and she won 2. So her senior year's next year. We'll see. You know, she's the type where she took a whole year off of wrestling, kind of like a year and a half. So she could be lazy sometimes, but when she's doing it, she's hardcore with her practices.
Well, I mean, I think that's just a testament to how people are getting into it at a younger age, and
Yeah.
that's causing more people to pay attention to the guys who are really good and watching the fights and watching EBI and stuff like that on UFC
Yeah.
Fight Pass and seeing those things like where you couldn't see before. Like in order to see Jiu-Jitsu before, you couldn't just. I mean, my buddy from back home, he owns a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym in Columbia, Missouri, and he just fought at a Jiu-Jitsu tournament, and it was streamed online. And he
Yeah.
posted the link, and I was able to watch his match. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
That's happening now more and more. So I think it's
People are getting, I mean,
amazing.
Metamoris, they made it
Yeah.
like really big level to where it was like these huge super matches. I think that's awesome. There's some big tournaments and there's money in it now.
Yeah.
Like, I've had people turn down, like, dude, you're going to turn down an MMA fight for a jiu-jitsu match? He's like, well, the overall winner wins $10,000. I'm going to give it a go. It's like, wait, what? $10,000 for jiu-jitsu? But yeah, I mean, there's that many people excited that they can build up those kind of prizes. So
Very cool stuff.
jiu-jitsu is fun.
It's crazy.
I love that.
Thank you guys so
I
much
love
for
it.
coming, Javon. Thank you
Thank
for sharing
you.
your story.
I
Really, really
appreciate that.
appreciate your time. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is the founder of Military Mutual. Please welcome back to the show real estate broker Derek Barksdale and his special guests, transferring all the way from Virginia, Lieutenant Junior Grade Daniel Espinoza and his wife Martina Espinoza.
Welcome to the show, guys.
All right.
What's
you.
up?
Here, man.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your service, all of you, by the way, because
problem.
we know the wives also are a part of this thing. So thank
It's
you so
hard.
much. Yeah, right?
You're welcome.
It's tough thing. You have a tough gig as well, so we
Yeah.
appreciate you being here. Derek, tell us why you wanted to bring this couple on today.
Well, it just so happened that the chance of opportunity was there. You know, we always have a long lineup of people who want to come on the show, be a part of Smarter San Diego, but they are here in the middle of a transfer and trying to do their house hunting. And just the timing was right. And I want to really express what a military relocation is. It's also by the acronym of most people military know, which is PCS, permanent change of station, which come with a lot of different stresses that most civilians don't even know about. And unfortunately, a lot of realtors don't know about as well. So I'd like to just add some visibility to those who may not know, so they have a good opportunity to step in the life of a military man during the transition.
Which is obviously a big deal. And you guys are looking for houses. I mean, you're here for how many days?
4.
4
total.
days.
4 total.
Yes.
And you're coming from Virginia?
Virginia.
From Virginia to San Diego. Not a bad place to come visit, right?
Awesome.
No, that's awesome.
But 4 days is a tough amount of time, Derek, to get out there and get it done, especially in this kind of market.
Yeah.
What have you guys sort of learned about San Diego real estate so far through this process?
You actually had to jump on an opportunity quick. So we were interested in a couple houses that were sold the next morning.
Yeah, they were gone.
So we had to jump on an opportunity because they sell quick.
Yeah. Is there any place in town that you guys are looking that you really like or where you'd like to land?
I love East Lake.
East
Chula
Lake?
Vista, East Lake area.
What do you like about East Lake?
I feel safe there. It's a really nice community with a lot of parks. And I just want to be able to walk my dog and just feel safe.
Yeah, that makes
Thanks.
sense because he's probably out of town a lot,
Yes, he is.
right? So that's an important thing. That's probably a normal thing too, right there.
Yeah, well, you know, as you talked about, they have a compressed time frame to look at homes. The average civilian that's looking for a home usually goes about 10 weeks. They do some online searches 3-4 weeks prior to, and then they decide to look at some homes. And usually over a 10-week period, they're looking at 10 homes total. With them, they had to aggressively start that process right off the bat. We've already shown about 12 homes to them right now, and we have some more in the lineup for today. Plus, we already have that offer. But getting back to what the importances are, one, they want to make sure that something's affordable. something that can get some equity, and then also the distance to base so they can get back and forth to work in a reasonable time frame, because Lieutenant here is in a very high position where he needs to be able to respond back to the ship in any given moment. So with that being said, that's it. And then for Martina, really the safety is one of the huge things, as she mentioned. You know, they have a Doberman pinscher, you know, that adds to that normal way of love, but also some protection as well. So lots of commonalities with every one of our clients that we have that come in.
Something to definitely consider, you know, all those things. How did you guys find Military Mutual? I'm just curious.
I was actually on the ship, and an old friend I was stationed with happened to be in the area in Virginia, and he mentioned that he knew a real estate agent that worked for Military Mutual, and it was perfect. Like from the greeting to the end to actually purchasing the home was outstanding. So, and he's actually living up to that standard, to be honest with you.
I hope so.
So far, no.
Not letting me off.
He's got how many days left to get into a house?
2. We have 2. Yeah, 2
2
more
days
days.
left. Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. I'll make it happen. I guarantee it.
That's
sure.
You know, so PCS, you know, a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, what is this about cell phones, you know, or something like that? You know, this is not what this is about. This is something that happens. I mean, you don't necessarily get to choose these things in a lot of cases. I don't know if you got to choose because you're a lieutenant. Maybe you got to say, hey, I'd like to go in this direction.
A little bit.
A little bit. But for a lot of guys, you know, it's just, hey, here's your orders.
Good luck.
That's where you're going. You know, we're going to give you a little love for, you know, little leave time or whatever to go find housing and whatnot, but go ahead and go. And with a big market like San Diego, I mean, San Diego County is enormous.
Yes.
I mean, it is enormous. So to try to make a decision like that in such a short period of time, Derek, I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest challenges. I'm glad you guys found a neighborhood that you like and you picked a really good one. But for a lot of people, it's just got to be, you know, paralysis by analysis. Like, oh my gosh,
absolutely.
North County, South County.
Well, the reason why they found Eastlake is because of the fact that I set them up on a search for pretty much most of San Diego County that fit their price limitations and their criteria and so forth. So they actually had an opportunity to look around all of San Diego, and they found that it's a process of elimination, not a housing hunt, and they found that Eastlake was the right area for them because they tried some other areas that didn't fit that safety aspect, it didn't fit the travel time aspect that we were talking about. So paralysis by analysis is there, but we have methodologies to ensure that they understand, and that's what I talked to them about, is that it's a process of elimination, not a housing hunt itself.
Do you guys feel that, as you've been working with Derek for a couple days now, kind of a shotgun situation, right? But do you feel that working with someone who's been in the military as well is an advantage, you know, to you in being able to do something like this? Like, he speaks your language and understands what you're going through.
I feel that because he was in the military, it makes it so much easier for him to make decisions that I'm not too experienced in on the outside. And he was an outstanding officer in the Navy, so I guarantee he's an outstanding real estate agent. His experience in the Navy is definitely showing, and I can relate to it.
That's
you
cool.
know, through this process.
So you guys you think you're benefiting from that?
That's
I think so.
That's awesome. And that's what, you know, Military Mutual is all about.
Well, and as you know, everyone within our organization is military affiliated, whether they be a retiree like myself, active duty, which we have 12 active duty people as agents with us, or a spouse thereof like Martina, who I've been actively recruiting as she's been out here, by the way. So with that being said, it really is a matter of trust that we always have to establish. I mean, they're going to be making the largest purchase more than likely in their entire lives up to this point. And the only person you really trust in something like that is yourself. And, you know, we're like them. We understand the challenges that they're facing. And at the same time, we want to do what's right. And as you know, Military Mutual is all about giving back. That's to those who choose to use our services, and those are for the team members as well. So it's our honor to be able to serve them.
That's awesome. And you guys have so many cool programs and stuff too. We don't have time to get into all of them, but you can check them out, militarymutual.org. What are you guys concerned at all about another PCS coming at some point down the road?
We actually talked about this.
Yeah.
If I get stationed, you know, like he mentioned, it's one of the largest purchases I'll ever make in my life, and then I have to move, I have to find a renter, and I do not want to foreclose, and that I'll be put in a position where that could possibly happen. So yes, I'm definitely concerned about that.
So one of the big things we do is we talk about not only an entrance strategy coming in, but also an exit strategy. So we've already talked about the home that they're looking at. As a matter of fact, it rents for $2,400 per month, and that's the medium range. Their mortgage payment will be around $2,700. With that, although it's maybe a $300 gap, it allows for them to have someone else pay their mortgage And with the average rental increase of about 2.5% within 3 years, by the time they rotate out, it'll be right at the point where their mortgage meets. And then we offer free property management for them for up to 3 years after they purchase their home. So quite frankly, this will be a positive equity situation or a positive cash flow for them when they move out.
And that's something you do for everybody, right? Military Mutual?
Absolutely. Any of our clients who come on board who are military affiliated and they get PCS somewhere else, we will take on their property management services for free for them.
Does that make you does that put you at ease? With your
Oh,
situation?
yes.
I got goosebumps right now.
Yes.
It's so relieving to know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone else has ever done anything like that or I mean, known enough about it or cared enough, whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
I've never heard about it either.
I've never
So
heard of
it
it.
makes me feel much better.
Yeah. Well, that's just an understanding of the situation that you're in.
Yes.
And then getting into solution mode,
Yeah,
right? That's probably a little bit
absolutely.
of that Lieutenant Navy training, right? Where
Absolutely.
Right there. You got a problem? Let's find a solution.
Let's find
That's
a
right.
solution. Yep, yep.
And that's what you do at Military Mutual, which is it's so great to have you on the show, Derek.
It's always an honor,
You're
Derek.
doing such amazing stuff. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I know you got to get out there and look at houses right
I
now.
know.
I feel bad. We're taking your time. You guys are like,
No.
hey, we got a few houses to get to see here. Somebody might have already bought it.
No kidding.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
your
having us.
service.
Thanks for having us.
Mr. Barksdale, you as well.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Our next guest is the all-time real estate debate champion. You know her simply as Champ. Please welcome back to
Champ
the
is
show.
here.
Hello.
What's up, Champ?
Oh,
Good story.
just doing wonderful in this beautiful city.
Doing your thing?
Doing my thing.
All right, that's awesome. So, a lot going on in the San Diego marketplace right now.
A lot.
A lot of people are, realizing that it's difficult to buy. A lot of home sellers are realizing it's a great time to sell. But even in a great market, home sellers can still make mistakes.
Right.
And that's what we're here to talk about today. So
Right.
we've got 5 big mistakes that home sellers make that you can help them avoid.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do, how many are we going to get today on the TV?
I'm going to try to get through at least 3.
Okay, let's do
And-
3 and then the other 2 on your website?
Yes, absolutely.
So what's the first one you think that is probably the most important one that people make the most?
And the first one, so, if you look around online and different sites, there's lots of places that'll tell you what the mistakes are. But I feel like a lot of places really break them into a lot more categories than they need to be. The number one single most important thing is to prepare the home properly. And that is a very multifaceted approach because it's everything. It's from the time that somebody pulls up in front of your house. Are there weeds? Is your mailbox beat up? Are your flowers okay? Do you have nice rocks? Whatever's going on in the front of the house. Is your paint chipping? Whatever it is, your gate. All the way into when you get in the house. How's your front door look? Is it welcoming? How is your entryway? Does it have nice plants? Are they healthy? Because everybody, when they pull up to the house, they want to have this feeling like, I want to live here. So from the very moment that they put eyes on it, they're rating everything and they're cataloging in their mind. Then when they walk in, it shouldn't smell. I don't want to smell your kitty cats. I don't want to smell your dogs. I'm sure they're adorable, but I don't want to smell them. And I've seen that mistake happen way too many times because it's off-putting, puts people on edge. Another big thing that people I see not do time and time again is photos. From the minute that you decide to list your house, you kind of almost have to look at it like it's really not your house anymore. It's an asset that you're...
That's an interesting perspective.
Yes.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Yes.
That's a great way to put it, to sort of get you in the right mindset. Because you've been thinking, this is my house for however many years.
Right.
This is not going to be my house anymore.
Yep.
That's huge.
And I think if there was one biggest piece of advice I could give to any seller anywhere, everywhere, is the day that you list the house or the day that you sign the listing agreement, it's not your house anymore. Just wash it off. Okay? You want to take down your family photos, you want to take down really personal knickknacks, you want to kind of declutter. Again, buyers want to come in and they want to visualize it as their house. Because now they're trying to see it as their house. They don't want to see it as your house. So they're going to picture their pictures on the wall. They're going to picture their toys in the corner or their knickknacks or their desk. So you really want to create an open, decluttered, depersonalized space that really just showcases the home, not your life.
Because no one wants to buy your house, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
No one wants to buy your house.
Yes.
They want to buy their house.
Exactly.
That's really the key.
Exactly.
I think you mentioned something there that's really huge too, is to sort of be prepared for the judgment. Because that's what you do when you house shop.
Right.
I don't care if you're the most non-judgmental Buddhist in the world. Okay? When you go to shop for houses, you're judging everything you see.
Absolutely.
To the utmost degree.
Right.
Because you're paying hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions
Yes.
of dollars for this. That's a big deal. You're going to take every precaution you can. And if you don't like something, even the nicest person in the world is going to be able to say in that situation, I don't like it.
Right.
So they're not going to be able to look past stuff like that. I love the idea, smells is huge because here's the thing. Most home sellers, in my experience, are not smart enough to realize that they can't smell it anymore, that they've become used to it.
It's true.
So they don't think it smells. But your dogs do have a smell. You and your family probably have a smell.
Yep.
Just a fact. Your pets have smells. So getting sort of a different opinion on that, I think, is a really, really good idea.
Absolutely.
It's got to be tough as the agent, though, sometimes to come in and say, this doesn't smell quite right.
Yeah, and those are the things, people sometimes question, what do agents do? We do a lot of things, and sometimes we have to have very uncomfortable conversations with our clients. Nobody wants to hear that their house is cluttered. Nobody wants to hear that, they need to clean, they need to rent a storage pod because there's just so much stuff that there's too much stuff. But if we're looking out for the best interests of our clients, those are things we have to do and we have to say. So it's, for example, I've had clients, that have gotten storage pods, or we had to air out the house for a whole week, or we had to paint, or whatever it was, get the carpets clean, get the couch clean. I've even had to remove couches just because it's just really important. And that's kind of where I like to go above and beyond. Sometimes I'll start working with clients months in advance because it takes time to prepare a home. And that's another thing, kind of goes into the mistakes category, is thinking that from the time you decide to hire an agent that your house is going to be on the market right away. It doesn't happen that fast. Not if it's done properly.
A free tip is what you're giving us.
Yeah, I'm giving a free tip.
Be prepared.
Yes.
For it to take a couple months.
Yes. If you're really diligent and you're doing your homework and you want to maximize your sales value, you really need to be signing with a listing agent, maybe sometimes months in advance. Because unless you have all day, every day for the next week to declutter your house, there's probably some homework that you're going to have to do, and I'm sure people are working and whatnot. So again, going back to preparing the home, if you're really diligent too, I love to see a pre-inspected property.
Very smart.
Yes, because when people get the inspection report, and they all do it. I've done it. We've all done it. Something that costs $100 to repair, we're asking for $1,000 off. You know what I mean? So I think it's better to go and have it inspected yourself. You can come up with any little issues because it's always things you're not thinking about. Like nobody thinks about the damper clamp in the fireplace. When I'm on my way to work in the morning, I'm not thinking about the damper clamp in my fireplace. Or is there an anti-tep bracket in my stove? You know what I mean? Those are not things that we are thinking about. So to have an inspector come through and let you know something that you might have missed, and then you can take care of it ahead of time, then buyers can go to that property with more confidence knowing that it's a clean property.
And you kind of take the negotiation advantage away from the buyer, because the buyer has a negotiation advantage with these inspections, especially on older properties.
Exactly.
Like you might get a full price offer, but inspection's coming around.
Yep.
And that's going to change.
And you get hammered.
Exactly. So, okay, so preparing the property, all encompassing, be ready for judgment. It's not your house anymore as soon as you decide to sell it. That's great advice. Another tip.
So the number 2 most important thing, I think these are my 2 very most important things above all else, is pricing it right. When the property first hits the market, there's always a flurry of activity. It goes off in everybody's alert bells. It's going off on all the top sites. It's coming up in saved searches. That is your best time because that's when everybody's paying attention. It's showing up in everybody's inbox. And as soon as people see a property, they're going to do one of about 3 basic things. They're going to say, it's right for me, the price is right, and I want to see it right away. If they have a good agent, they know they need to see it right away. Because you can't wait until Saturday or Sunday if it comes on the market on Monday because you might already be beat out. Number 2, they're going to say, no, it's not right for me and I'm not interested in seeing it. Well, fine, that was never your buyer in anyway. Number 3, I love it. It's overpriced. Let's wait and see. And that happens a lot. I can't tell you, because I watch, so all of my listings, I pay to feature them on all the top sites, and I watch how many shoppers save the home, and I compare that with how many shoppers view the home. And that's a really good indicator of whether or not the home is priced properly. Because if people are just waiting for it to come down, then you know it's probably going to end up coming down.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I would think as a buyer, I guess if you thought it was overpriced, then that's going to be a big turnoff.
Right.
I mean, right off the bat, before you walk into it. Because if you see it online first, which is where everyone's seeing this stuff, you're going to make a decision right there whether or not to go see it. If you think it's overpriced, you might not even go see it.
Exactly.
That's the trouble. See, in the old days, people had to go to houses in order to see them. Different story, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you could, maybe there was some salesmanship involved. Now they can see the whole house.
Right.
They don't need that. So I think that's a really important point, pricing it properly, even in a really good market like this.
Right.
Having the right price on there to get the most amount of traffic while it's hot.
Right.
is
Well,
important.
and everybody's watching time on market. And so when people see the time on market going up and up and up, then they want to negotiate it down, 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 down. And that's not true for every property. There are certain types of properties that in certain price ranges, they just have a lot longer market time. But generally speaking, you really want to be having offers in those first 30 days, hopefully in the first week on the market.
Yeah.
And then the number 3 tip that I think is really important, and we have some graphics to really demonstrate that, is staging the home. And it's one of the things I do get a lot of pushback on from people.
Really?
Yeah. According to the National Association of Realtors, home sellers spent anywhere from 1% to 3% of their property's value in staging, but it yielded anywhere from an 8 to 10% return on their investment. So it's one of those things, again, it kind of goes with properly preparing the home, but it's its own category, because staging the home, again, it appeals to a wider audience. It helps people visualize living in the home. So it doesn't make it look like your home, but it makes it look like a livable home. So if I walk in and see an empty dining room and an empty living room, I'm kind of struggling, like, will my furniture fit? Where does it go? How can I make this look good? You take away all those questions when you have a beautifully staged property that's warm and inviting, and people, instead of trying to figure out if their furniture is going to fit, they're going to figure out when they get to lay on that couch and take a nap. So you just want to basically invite people in the door and say, write an offer, this house is worth it.
It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And it makes it look turnkey, too.
Right.
Which just mentally kind of gets you over that hump, because everyone's got to move anyway,
Right.
but you don't need to slap them in the face with that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And also it makes it look like a model home. For people who
Yes.
don't know what staging is,
Yeah.
it makes it look like a model home. You have a stager, you have someone whose job it is to make a house look like a model home.
Yes.
And so they come in, they make it new and cool looking, but also still very general to the extent that it's not like all orange or something.
Right.
So for people who don't know about staging, it's huge.
It is.
And so a couple of tips that you just kind of dropped in there, the pre-listing inspection. I don't know if that was an official tip or not. I think that's enormous.
Yeah.
Take the advantage. Whoever pays for the inspection gets the advantage.
Right.
If you let the buyer pay for it, they get the advantage. If you as the listing homeowner, if you pay for it, you're going to get the advantage.
Exactly.
Just that simple. So I think that is enormous. Remember, it's not your home as soon as you decide to sell it. And there's 2 more tips.
Yes.
2,
Yeah.
which are going to be on your website at the link on the screen. So if you want to get the last 2 tips, check out the website on the screen and visit storyestates.com. You will find a bunch of other really cool information on your website as well. You can search for properties there. Anything else sellers should know in this market?
I just like to remind, it's a great market. It is a good time to sell. I just like to remind people, if you're curious, I have tons more information. I love to come to people's home, like I said, well in advance. So if it's an idea you've been kicking around, but it might not happen till the summer or later this year, call me now. I'm ready to go, and I can help you get started on your homework.
Create that game plan. Get the
Exactly.
timeline in order.
Get the game plan.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you.
Elizabeth. Really appreciate your tips. Don't forget to visit the website on the screen to get the last 2 big tips from Elizabeth's story. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Welcome to the Real Estate Debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. Let's meet today's panelists. Our first guest is Chip Brent, broker owner at San Diego Properties. Our second guest, Sonia Azizi, real estate agent for Whistle Realty. Guest number 3, Phil Green, broker owner at the Green Group. And guest number 4, Jason Kardos, broker owner at Mount Helix Lifestyles Real Estate Services. And now, here is your host for the real estate debate, Derek Evans.
All right, it's time for the real estate debate. You guys excited?
So excited.
All right, let's do it. So topic number 1, tell me whether you agree or disagree, and then of course, why. And Jason, we are going to start with you.
Okay.
Topic number 1 is removal of contingencies. It's too risky for buyers, but has become way too common in this competitive marketplace.
I agree. It can be risky, yes. But I'm currently in a transaction with some clients. So everything depends on the situation, right? But they've been looking for years. they're renting now, and they want to keep their son in a school district in the Del Cerro area. So there's a certain condo complex, and we've been beat out by offers for different reasons, and so one just came on the market now. So they have a good feel of the complex. They know why they want to buy there, the values. So in this situation, we are keeping contingencies, but it's a multiple counteroffer, and we have a strong lender, and they're going to, we just countered back today, so I'll know later on, hopefully, that they're removing their appraisal contingency. So they still have their inspection, their loan contingency, but in this instance, they put in an offer for $400,000, and they're prepared to go up to $406,000. But
well, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Yes, I didn't say the address or name. But
nobody's on the other side of that, are they?
No. So it's important. But here we still have contingencies. But for me, liability, I want to make sure the clients understand what's going on, and I feel like they have a reason.
So you disagree?
Well, that was the thing. I was going to say no, but then again, they are important as long as you know how to use them. So we are removing one because of cash offers. They're using an FHA loan, Federal Housing Administration, so they don't want to look weak, or if the appraisal comes in less, they don't want the seller to think that they're going to try to lower the price. They have conviction, which gave me conviction to advise them. As long as they know, then here's how.
Chip, is this conviction dangerous?
I think I agree that buyers can enter into transactions, eliminating some of the contingencies that we have standard in the transaction. I think the number one we have to be confident with is the loan contingency, separate from the appraisal contingency. I don't think a buyer should enter the market unless they know they can get a loan. Escrow period is not to figure out if I can get a loan or what kind of loan I'm going to get. Escrow is to clear title, to find out what the property is all about, get the disclosures, get the appraisal done, close the deal. So there are contingencies which we can properly counsel our clients into with good confidence, remove those, or at least shrink them down. We have a contingency standard on our forms, 17 days for inspection. Somebody writes a 21-day escrow and you have 17 days hanging there, doesn't look good, doesn't work right. We need buyers to be able to walk into a home and say, I can get in and out of there in 7 days, and we can always approach a seller and say on day 7, if that property didn't inspect, can I have 2 more days? But we should cinch things up to be more realistic, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. Sonia, what do you think about all this?
What I think is you should hire me as an agent, and you don't have any problems with contingencies. What I do with my clients, because I know it's a competitive market, is I do the inspections prior to even writing an offer. I do everything. So I take everything off, because when you have 10 offers on the table, then you're, the person that's going to remove all their contingencies. And that's one thing I ask. I'm a listing agent as well as a buyer's agent. And to me, it's important to remove all your contingencies, because I don't want I work for my clients, and I'm going to go with the best offer. And so I do my home inspections ahead of time. And what agent wouldn't like that? Say, hey, before I write my offer, do you mind if we go in, we're willing to put in like $500-$600, we're going to do the inspection, do our due diligence, and that's how I get my offers accepted. I remove all contingencies, and I work with a group of lenders that they're already DU approved, so they're good to go. And
so you remove the contingencies, but you do the work ahead of time.
So I do the work ahead of time, so that's what I mean. Like, most agents are afraid to do that, and they think it's a risk, but do your due diligence, get your buyers approved, get your home inspection done, because most agents, they're not going to look at offers, especially with today's market. They're not going to accept an offer the first 5 days. They're going to see who's the best offer, who's going to be So you have 5 days to get all that stuff done. And if you have buyers you're working with, I absolutely think that you should. I'm assuming everybody's going through their lenders, and they're doing the loan approval, DU approval, all that good stuff.
Well,
so.
I don't know. They should.
That's why I said hire me.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, Phil, what do you think?
So I'm going to disagree that I think it's risky for buyers.
Okay, so you don't think it's risky?
I don't. If you have a savvy agent that knows what they're doing and protects their client. We work with a lot of investor clients, and right now in this competitive marketplace, to get your offer accepted, you get a 30-minute window to go in there, view the home, write a 7-day cash offer, no contingencies, non-refundable deposit. And that's what you have to do to win a deal. Now, obviously, if you're working with a regular client that's buying a home like a first-time home buyer, I wouldn't advise that. But you can definitely tighten up the contingency periods, which makes your offer a lot stronger. And we just closed the deal in 19 days. The seller accepted our offer because it was quick, it closed quickly. We did all our due diligence, our client was happy, and we won the deal.
So I want to tell you guys all that this was sort of a trick question, right?
Okay.
Okay. Because what's the worst that you can lose if you're a buyer? And
Your
you
earnest money
default on
deposit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
They can't force you to take the house. They can't force you to buy the house.
Correct.
So if you know that is your risk, and okay, we put down $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is, and you run into a major issue along the way, whatever that is, that's the maximum amount of risk you have. So if you're buying a $600,000 house, you're not risking $600,000. You're just risking your $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is that you put down as your earnest money. So it's not a trick question, but it's one of those things where I think a lot of people believe there's more risk involved with the contingencies than there is. There's not as much risk involved in removing the contingencies as people think there is. Therefore, it is a competitive advantage opportunity because some people aren't educated in it, or some people are not willing to explain to the home buyer that, hey, your worst case scenario is this goes away. That's the worst case scenario. But maybe that, or we don't get the house, depending upon what's more important to you. So which one is it? Which one's more important? Risking this $5,000 or $10,000, or not getting this house.
And I think that was a story I was trying to explain with my they were willing to risk it because of the issues they had before. They knew they wanted that complex. So, and like you were saying, the deposit, there's no rule for that. It's usually about 1% of the purchase price is what in the industry people like to see. But then you got VA buyers that they say, I don't have to put any money down. And I tell them that's true, but the seller still wants to see a little skin in the game, especially, in our area in San Diego County in a competitive market. So
yeah, you still got to pay your closing costs.
Yes, the closing costs. And what you were hitting on was the fancy word is the liquidated damages. So it's the amount of deposit they put down, or 3%, whichever is of the purchase price, whichever is greater, or so that.
In a litigation situation.
Yeah, and the reason they do that is because they say it's so hard to determine, did you harm the seller, the buyer? So they try to make it streamlined with that clause. Okay. And that's what you were referring to.
Exactly. What's the worst case scenario? It's important to understand what's risk reward in every situation, right? What are you risking? What's the potential reward? And that's all the only analysis you need to do is the risk reward analysis every time. So figure out what's best for you. In a tough market like this, it makes sense, I think, for a lot of people to remove some of these contingencies, especially if you have one that you can hang on to. You can hang on to that loan contingency, or if you can hang on to that appraisal contingency, or whatever it is. If there's one you can hang on to, inspection, whatever, then at least you've got some sort of rope there, so that you can say, all right, we've got some sort of parachute. All right.
And I'm sorry, and then that was right too. As long as you have one contingency on, so it could be loan, appraisal. You're right. I think buyers
just shorten it up.
Yeah,
just do a 5-day.
Right.
I mean, that's an extra 5 days that you're buying.
But they're looking for the
days.
full contingency removal. So like you touched on, as long as they have one, they still have an out. Or so that's important.
Something. It shows value, but you don't have to give away the farm, so to speak. All right, time for our second topic. This is our seller topic. Phil, we will be starting with you. The topic is, if you plan to sell in the next few years, now is a good time to do so, because who knows how long this hot market will last. Do you agree or disagree with that, Phil?
I'd agree. And the reason I'd agree is we're seeing the highest prices right now that we've seen since 2006. That's 11 years. This is the highest price we've had in the market for 11 years, which is a long time. So if you need to sell, it's a great time to sell. Now, will the market continue to go up? Well, that's a great question. I guess no one really knows. If you look at past market cycles, normally the previous high gets passed, and it's happened every single time. And have we passed the highest 2005 highs? No, we haven't yet. So I guess that could lead one to conclude that the market will probably continue to go up, but we don't know. There's a lot of outside factors, the political spectrum that's going on right now, and several other things that could affect the value of homes.
Yeah, no question. And loans too, and interest rates. There's all sorts of things out there. Sonia, what do you think?
I mean, if you're gonna sell, in the next year or 2 years, why wait? I mean, what we know is the market today. We know that it's good. We know it's doing well. Why not sell now? Again, it's summertime. That's what I tell my clients. It's summer. It's the hottest market, and also sell before November. We don't know what's going to happen with the elections. It could go both ways, but if you're going to sell, why not do it when the market's doing well? I don't know, I can't predict, nobody can predict, but I do know the market now, so it's a good time. The market's good.
Good for sellers. Okay, that makes sense. Chip, what do you think?
It's always a good time to sell in Southern California. Even in down markets, Southern California has exceeded national market statistics. Right now is a good time to sell. Someone has to have more than a reason of making money to sell. You don't want to wait until there's increased competition, other sellers. So sometimes it is a good idea to wait until the fall or wait until early spring so there's not a lot of other sellers competing for that same buyer. But there sure seems to be a lot of buyers right now, more than sellers, even at this peak time. So this is an excellent time to sell, I think, with any product. And it's a seller's market. That's why it's called that. Time to sell. time to sell. What can I say?
I love it. Jason, where do you fall on this one?
Yes, they all great points they brought up. And the other thing is, why are they selling? Like Chip was saying, is it just the money or the time of their life? Are they downsizing? Another thing is tax liability rules. There's a IRC 121 where if you live in a home 2 out of 5 years, you can get any gain tax-free. Well, there's some single person gains, 250,000 capital. Yeah, married 500,000. But that comes up sometimes. People have moved. I work with people that move out of town and they've had their rental for a couple years. This time, I'm having a lot of tenants moving out, and so landlords are thinking, well, maybe they're either going to rent it out or might be good to try to sell it right now.
Sonia, I think you made a great point about hey, when you know it's a seller's market,
right.
You know it's a good time to sell, maybe why risk it? But there's also pretty much everybody, I think, believes that this market's not done yet. So this is the tough part. Like I haven't heard a soul saying this market's going to crash next year. It's getting weak out there. There's properties that are sitting on the market. We're not hearing any of those signals yet. So what would you tell someone who's a home seller that goes, yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and take the risk because I think this market's gonna keep going up?
But if everybody's thinking like them, then that means that all those people are going to wait. Right now what we know is there's a ton of buyers. There's less inventory. If you're going to sit there and wait for 5% to go up, why not sell it for 5% more when there's low inventory? So that's what I would say to them. Okay. Sell it for higher now because all we're running into is multiple offers.
You think just list it higher?
Just list it a little bit higher. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff. I mean, $25,000 above market, $50,000. So do you want to wait to get that 5%, or you can get that extra 5% and not risk the market? Just do it now.
That's an interesting idea.
You know?
What do you think about that, Phil?
I think if I was someone who didn't have a great need to sell, I would tell them to hold on. I really think the market's going to keep increasing, and I don't see a great amount of inventory flooding the market anytime soon. I think there'll be even greater demand next year.
Yeah.
There really isn't many homes that are coming up. There's a few new build developments here in San Diego, but not much. There's not much more land.
Yeah.
So I don't see the inventory problem really becoming better anytime soon. I think prices are going to continue to go up. And if I didn't have a great need to sell, I'd hold on.
Okay.
And then you give them their number, and then I'll go do a listing appointment with them. And
I mean, there's quite a few people that want to live in California. Look at the Bay Area. Look at Marin County, Orange County, LA. Those are way pricier than San Diego. They end up down here in this little cul-de-sac of the country. And this is a delightful community. We're far less than other large communities in San Diego. Lots of jobs available. High tech is coming back to this county. We're no longer the educational and military town we may have been when I came here in the 70s. This is telecom, this is biotech, this is a big city, lots of money coming through. No urgent reason to sell right away because there's going to be steady demand on California property.
Yeah, we've seen, it's been incredible.
Statewide.
It's become an international destination.
Right. It is, statewide. You see a lot of money coming in from all parts of the globe.
Okay.
But those people, Derek, I mean, the people that are selling, they're also buying something else.
Right.
So if we tell them to wait and take that risk, either way, I mean, they have to buy another property. So if the time is, if they wait another year or 2 years, the prices of that new property that they're going to get is going to go up too.
Yeah,
so.
I guess it depends on if you're moving up or moving down.
Right.
That's kind of an important
and where you're
consideration.
moving.
Yeah, where
the
you're
location
moving.
you may be going to could make a difference.
Yeah, inland versus coastal. We see a lot of people doing
Out
that.
of state versus staying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yeah, no, that's very, very important too, because I think you're right. It's not just about the sell side. It's a huge point. I mean, that's the biggest trouble, the catch-22, right, for sellers today.
Where do you go?
Where am I going? We can sell the house tomorrow for $20,000 above appraised value.
Right.
Where are we going to sleep?
You know, in a hot market, you think that won't fly, but on some of these, higher price ones, the buyer and seller, they're willing to work out renting back. I had one rent back for a month before their other home was ready. So I am seeing that too, where maybe you could have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 contingent deals going on right now. Most of my deals are like this guy's buying this. So they are moving. They're either moving up or moving down, but
some sellers are, the intrepidation is like where we go. There are buyers that will willingly go into escrow, take a back seat, let the seller have 30 days, find where you want to go. I want your house. I got your house over the other guys that didn't get it. Go find something. And I've done a couple of them this year recently. One was at the 30th day, but the buyer got what they wanted. They were a seller, now they're a buyer, and they got what they wanted. So it made sense to sell. It wasn't surely just about the sale. It's about where we're going to go. And there's buyers who are willing to wait for sellers to find that right property at up leg.
Yeah, that might be a really good tip for buyers in this market to write that in. You know, hey, we're willing to wait. If you don't have a place to land,
that is a good tip.
We will wait. Great stuff. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you for
really
having
appreciate
us.
your time. That was a fantastic real estate debate, and we will do it again, same time, same channel next month. We'll see you then.
Ever seen this guy? Chances are, if you walked around Carlsbad Village, you've seen him along with an awesome array of street murals painted by my friend Bryan Snyder. He is a passionate street artist who loves to share his art with the community of Carlsbad and really the whole world over. So this is actually the first piece that introduced me to your art, and this is probably one of the most seen ones of the few in the village. How did this start?
Oh, this was, it's titled A Welcoming Fall, and I painted it on the first day of fall one year in 2011. And it's, you know, Doodle, he's all about bringing back childhood memories that you once forgot.
I love that.
So, you know, everyone has jumped into a pile of leaves at some point. So I have him up in a tree about to plunge into a big pile. And it was all done without a projector, all hand traced.
Wow.
I built a scaffolding for it. And it's, you know, it's lasted for over 5 years now.
Was this the beginning of Doodle?
Not even close. Doodle started when I was about 10 years old, but it's one of the first ones painted in the Carlsbad Village.
Okay. Could you take me to another one? Tell me more about Doodle.
Let's go.
Yes.
It all started with me learning how to paint this character.
Okay.
My mom, not too long ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, gave me a folder, and she's like, I think you might want to look at this. And she had kept all of my childhood illustrations. I mean, from like 8 to 15, kept everything.
Wow.
And going through it, I kept on seeing a character kind of in a template, which eventually evolved into Doodle. And when I finished this cardboard, you know, Doodle, I put it out on the street and I put a photo on Instagram, and people rushed out to pick it up and find it.
Wow.
And so I started doing this more and more, and then finally someone called me like, hey, when's the next piece of artwork? I was like, piece of art? That's just a little doodle. I'm just practicing. I was like, okay, well, when's the next doodle? And then it stuck, and he got his name Doodle and kept going with it.
This is one of my favorite pieces of yours. Tell me what inspired it.
Well, this piece is titled Jingle, Introducing Jingle, and it's based off my wife, actually, who is a professional musician. She fell in love with jazz and with music in this exact situation, you know, when she was a child, and she actually teaches vocal lessons here. So all of her students get to see this and walk straight through this door and, you know, learn from her. So it's a perfect placement, and it's one of my favorites too. The goal is to hide it somewhere visible, but not too easy.
Not too obvious, yeah.
And then quick little photo. Document it, share it on social media, but I don't like to give away the spot.
This is one that always impresses my friends when I bring them to the village and show them your art. Tell me about this one in particular.
It's one of my favorites. It's called Doodle's Imagination, and the whole idea behind this piece is it's as if he is or he has painted on the wall, and then by pulling down the wall, he's exposing what he really sees in his mind. This is really important for everything I do. My main goal for my art in Carlsbad is to create more of an artistic culture. And culture can be defined as a network of minds. So this right here is really important because this is proof that this piece of artwork is creating a network. And these are all different people who have visited this mural and added a sticker. And the content is so digestible. I mean, everyone enjoys their childhood memories. They're good ones. You know, your first popsicle, your first conversation on a telephone, your first stitches. I mean, memories are important, and I try to resurface these memories that you may forget because of crazy everyday life. You know, society is so caught up in the moment. I try to bring people away and back to being a kid.
What compelled you to bring artists from different places to Carlsbad?
The wall started with Justin, the owner of Grubby's, Senior Grubby's. He asked if I wanted to paint, and I was like, well, you know what? I have art all over. Give me a month. Let me think of a project. And that's when this project evolved, and I bring in new artists because I just want to bring new art to the village. I became an artist because an artist came to my school, Magnolia Elementary, when I was maybe second grade, and he completely inspired me to become an artist. The light bulb came on, and I was like, you know, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I bring kids to this wall, and I teach them basic drawing principles, but in this newer kind of cooler medium, you know, on a wall with spray paint in the urban environment.
Those kids, they're from the local Boys and Girls Club, right? And you happen to have a huge, awesome mural there that you did for them recently,
Yeah.
right? Cool.
Yeah, in the Greg Nelson gym, I created a mural of a bunch of kids or doodles stacked up on top of each other, holding signs, and on each sign is a word that connects to the core values of the Boys and Girls Club.
I love that.
And so the great thing about this project is this year, in the second year, I've teamed up with the city of Carlsbad and received a cultural arts and community grant. And we've teamed up with the Boys and Girls Club to include this educational part of it with the teens that attend the club. You know, the definition of street art, I've been saying for the past 10 years, is the definition needs to be updated, where it's no longer vandalism.
Right.
And recently, it's become more mainstream, even more commercial, where that definition has changed to include positive aspects and additions to a community. So, you know, I tell kids at one time this was vandalism, but if you do it in the right environment, it's not bad, but it's you know, it's positive. So that's what I'm trying to teach kids is, you know, do it the right place at the right time, and you'll be seen as a respected artist, not a vandal.